I gave 9 years of my life to a man who dumped me right after making me think he was about to propose. But now, months later, he's begging to meet up because something is haunting him. I was 27. He was 26. We'd been together since we were teenagers, which means I watched this man grow up and helped build him into who he became. When his parents cut him off over his college major, I was the one picking up the slack, working 2 jobs while also being a full-time student, covering rent, groceries, utilities while he focused on his degree. I didn't resent him for it because I genuinely believed we were building something together. When his parents came back around, we moved into a nicer apartment. He told me to quit one of my jobs. I didn't. It was finally his turn to carry some weight, and for a while, things were actually good. He was present, attentive, made me feel like the hard years were finally paying off. Then slowly, something shifted. New work friends, longer hours, shorter conversations. I made excuses for months because that's what you do when you've invested that much. Then December came and he completely flipped. Weekend trips, home-cooked dinners, little notes left around the apartment. It felt like we were dating again for the first time. I told my best friend I thought he was going to propose. She helped me think about what I'd say. January 2nd, he made my favorite dinner. Candles, music, the whole setup. He sat across from me and gave this long speech about how I'd been by his side since high school, how I'd seen him at his lowest, how nobody had ever known him the way I did. My heart was pounding. Then he dumped me. He told me I'd been a good girlfriend, but that's all he'd ever see me as. Said he didn't picture me as his wife or the mother of his kids. At some point, he called me a gold digger. Said he needed someone on his level now. Told me he'd be sleeping in the guest room, and I had 30 days to move out. Then he sat there watching me, waiting for me to fall apart. I didn't give him that. I went to the bedroom, opened my laptop, ordered moving boxes, and went to sleep. The next morning, I waited until I heard the front door close. Then I called my boss and begged for a transfer. Reached out to everyone I knew who wasn't also his friend. My cousin offered her spare room immediately. Said I could come that same day. Within 4 days, I had everything packed and was gone. I blocked him on everything, blocked his whole circle, changed my number, changed my email. I didn't leave a single door open. The first night at my cousin's was when it all finally hit me. I cried every night that first month, replayed that dinner over and over. The way he sat there waiting for me to react. The way he said white like it was something I could never deserve. I felt worthless in a way I didn't have language for. My cousin eventually pulled in my mom and a few close friends and staged a proper intervention. I didn't realize how badly I'd broken down until I saw their faces when they walked in. I was still in the middle of all that when the flowers showed up. 4 months after I walked out, a bouquet arrived at my new office. The card said he'd been thinking about me constantly, that there was something he needed to say to my face or it would haunt him forever, that he had no way to reach me and was asking for one meeting. Everyone told me to throw it away, but I'd spent 4 months not knowing, and that was eating at me more than the hurt was. Against every reasonable instinct, I agreed. We met at a coffee shop, public, easy exit, my cousin on standby. He showed up looking tired and rehearsed. He launched into this apology that wasn't really an apology. Heavy on. I'm sorry you feel that way. Light on I did something wrong. He blamed his mental health, his job, his parents, his friends, everyone except himself. When he finally paused, I said, I already know everything. He stopped, stared at me. Something shifted in his face like he was recalculating. Here's what actually happened. He'd spent 2 years completely obsessed with a woman at his office. When he ended things with me, he walked straight to her and confessed. Told her he'd ended a 9-year relationship because he was in love with her and wanted to do things the right way. She told him he was disgusting. Said if he contacted her outside of required work communication, she'd report him to HR. And she did. He'd thrown away 9 years. Said things to my face I spent months trying to unhear. And the woman he'd done it all for wanted nothing to do with him. Now he was sitting across from me telling me we belonged together and that he'd marry me before the year was out. I let him finish. Then I looked at him and said, I'm nobody's second choice. I texted my cousin. She was there in 20 minutes. He was still talking when she walked through the door. Told him exactly where he could go, and we left. That was the last time I saw him.